All right, well, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. We have a ton to get through today, and so we're really excited to have you join us for this session, Integrating Climate into Your MBA, presented by ClimateCAP. My name is Jessica Wingert, and I am the program lead for ClimateCAP based out of Duke's Fuqua School of Business. We're so glad to have you here with us to discuss this incredibly important and timely topic. The business implications of climate are presenting pretty obvious and material financial impacts on the private sector, creating challenges and opportunities and a new way of doing business. And as the world around us continues to change rapidly, it's become increasingly important that all MBA graduates, regardless of their role or industry, need to understand climate and its broader economic and social implications in order to succeed in their careers. So in today's session, we'll talk through many of the ways that you could build your skills and climate expertise during your MBA experience and prepare yourself to be a business leader that contributes to climate solutions. So we'll start by going over our agenda for the day. So we'll start today with a brief welcome and introduction to ClimateCAP, and then we'll have the representatives from our participating schools introduce themselves and their schools. The bulk of our time together will be in a round-robin question and answer session, providing answers to some of the most common questions that we hear from students who are interested in this topic in integrating climate into their MBA experience. Our school representatives will be answering these initial questions at a higher level, talking about the general MBA experience and saving any school-specific information for the breakout sessions that we'll have at the end. And so after we answer those general questions, we'll transition into those breakout rooms for the balance of the session, where you can hop in and out of different breakouts and connect directly with these program representatives to answer any school-specific questions that you might have. And all of this will wrap with the breakout rooms closing at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So now I'm going to pause and just have the representatives from each school briefly introduce themselves and their schools, so you'll know who's on the call today, and then you'll hear much more from them when we move to the round robin. And I've got the schools here alphabetically on the screen, so why don't we go ahead and start with Duke.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. I'm Katie Cross. I'm Managing Director of the Center for Energy Development and the Global Environment at Duke's Fuqua School of Business.
We can keep rolling down the list. Hi, Brian.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Brian Goebel. I'm the Managing Director of our Business and Society Institute at Emory University's Gozueta Business School, located in Atlanta, Georgia. We're excited to be developing climate-smart leaders, and we have a couple of our MBA students joining us today that you'll have a chance to meet in our breakout as well. So Sam Haber and Cameron Bard are here as well. So look forward to chatting with you all today and into the breakouts.
Fred Gabelli.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, Nikki. Joe Diegues, Gabelli School of Business, Director of Career Development here, but work in conjunction with our Responsible Business Center. So looking forward to speaking with you all further today.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everybody. My name is Nikki DeCastro. I'm Assistant Director of Admissions. I'll be assisting during the breakout session, so I look forward to meeting everybody then.
Hey everybody, my name is Elise Clarkson. I'm the Community Manager for the Business and Environment Initiative at Harvard Business School, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation today.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Wendell. I am the Executive Director of the Center for Ethics and Social Responsibility at the University of Colorado Boulder's Leeds School of Business. It's great to be here.
I'm Charlene Zaitsma. I am the Faculty Director of the Herb Institute at the Ross School of Business and the School for Environment and Sustainability. We're a dual degree program. And with me today are Melissa Zaksik, our Interim Faculty Director, and Interim Managing Director, as well as Ian Quant, who manages our dual degree program.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Arthur Van Bentham. I'm one of the co-directors of the Wharton Climate Center at the University of Pennsylvania.
And I'm Sandy Marrow Hunt. I'm the Managing Director of the Wharton School's Environmental, Social, and Governance Initiative. Together with Arthur, we'll cover all things Wharton and ESG.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Town. I'm the Assistant Dean of our full-time and evening MBA programs here at Foster at the University of Washington. I'm really excited to see so many people here. I'm joined by a couple of colleagues who will be joining us in the Q&A later. Looking forward to talking with you all.
Thank you for that. And I hope all of the attendees on here realize how amazing and absolutely stacked this group of representatives from these schools are. I think it's a pretty rare and special occasion to get this amount of knowledge and expertise in one place. So I'm just so thankful that we could have all these schools here to chat with you today, and excited to move forward with our content. So we have a lot of you who are new to ClimateCAP, so I'm just going to take a few brief minutes to provide a snapshot of ClimateCAP more broadly. We were founded with the mission to prepare tomorrow's business leaders, which is many of you all, future MBAs, hopefully, to understand and respond to the climate challenge by mainstreaming the climate conversation in business schools. So ClimateCAP was founded and continues to be led by us here at Fuqua, but we are a global partnership of 44 business schools, and we work really closely with the staff and faculty at those schools on a number of different initiatives, including the Summit, the Fellowship, and our MBA Academy virtual learning series. If you haven't yet signed up for our mailing list, please make sure that you do so you can stay up to date on all of these events. So I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about some of these different topics. I just mentioned our 44 partner schools, and I wanted to highlight some of the schools which support ClimateCAP at the leading and supporting partner level. We want to thank them for making this program and a lot of our other initiatives possible. And for those of you who are prospective MBAs, you can check out the list of all of our partner schools and link directly to their websites from our website. So the ClimateCAP Summit is our flagship event every year, bringing together hundreds of MBA students from around the world to network and learn about climate and business. Many students cite this event as a highlight of their MBA experience, getting the chance to come together with like-minded students from around the world to network and to learn about climate and business leadership. Our most recent summit was hosted by the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan this past February. And the agendas and recordings from that summit are available on our website in case you're curious. The keynote with Danelle Baird from Block Power and the panels on AI and another on climate equity were all really popular. So I encourage you to check out recordings of those sessions and any others of interest on our site. Our next summit is being hosted by Berkeley Haas on February 28th of 2025. And just a heads up that tickets for this event do sell out very quickly. So be sure to subscribe to the mailing list to be notified when tickets go on sale in the fall. And next, I want to highlight the ClimateCAP MBA Fellowship, which empowers our 12 fellows to become the next generation of climate leaders and change makers. Key elements of this fellowship include learning and development sessions, networking, and self-directed project work, where students will design and implement a climate action project. And throughout the fellowship, the students receive mentorship and also attend cohort building activities. It's hard to believe we're almost halfway through our 2024 programming, but you can find out a lot more about our 2024 cohort as well as previous cohorts on our website. And then we'll be opening up applications for the next cohort of fellows in the fall, and that would be open to any currently enrolled MBA student. And lastly, I wanted to mention our MBA Academy virtual learning series. And so in this education series, we bring thought leaders directly to you throughout the academic year, giving you a chance to learn from business leaders, academics, entrepreneurs about timely and important climate and business topics. We just completed our last session of the spring about 2 weeks ago, but you can visit our website to see recordings of those past events, and I've included the titles and speakers for a few of them on the slide for reference. We'll kick off again with this series in September, so be sure to subscribe to our mailing list to find out about registration for future events. And while these are targeted towards the MBA audience, they are public events, so anyone is welcome to attend. If you have any questions about any of the ClimateCAP programming, feel free to reach out after this session, or I'll stay here in the main room during the breakouts, and I'm happy to answer those in real time. But now we're going to transition to the round robin of questions about integrating climate into your MBA. So we've selected some of the questions that we hear most often from prospective and incoming students on this topic, and representatives from each school will answer each one. As I mentioned earlier, schools will target their responses at kind of a more general level in this larger group, but then they'll be available in those breakouts at the end of the session to provide much more specific school information and answer any questions that you have. So feel free to jot down any questions that you might come up with as we go, and then you could get those answered in the breakouts. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first responder and our first question. Go ahead, Katie.
Okay, so our first question, you're going to read the question for me, Jess?
Yeah.
I am passionate about solving the climate crisis. Why should I get an MBA? I am super excited to be the first up to get to answer this question. It's one that we get a lot from prospective students as you're early in the decision. Some of you may have already been thinking about this for a while. But as many of you may know, an MBA is a terrific degree because it gives you a lot of flexibility and sets you up for success in a lot of different disciplines. As an MBA student, you will take classes in finance, accounting, marketing, strategy, operations, management and leadership, negotiations. You will get lots and lots of skills that are really applicable in a wide range of careers and a wide range of industries after graduation. And we need all of these skills to solve the climate crisis. So as you know, as Jess set up, the scale of the climate crisis is enormous. So there are different figures out there, but estimating the scale of the challenge before us. But just to give you one, the Energy Transitions Commission estimates that transitioning our global economy to a net zero or a carbon neutral economy will cost $110 trillion in global capital investment between 2021 and 2050, or $3.5 trillion per year additive expenditures. So some reports estimate that figure even higher. And to make that happen, we are going to need policy expertise, engineers, climate scientists, but we absolutely need the private sector leadership to affect this change. We're going to need every business leader to be savvy about climate risks and mitigation and adaptation strategies. We also need graduates who specifically are interested in using that MBA toolkit to work directly on solutions to decarbonizing our global economy. Coming to that challenge with those business skills to help us think about how we will invest in and commercialize new climate technologies, how we will reconfigure supply chains to have smaller carbon footprints and to be more resilient to climate risk, how we will adopt new business models that reduce our environmental impacts, how we're going to change customer behavior, consumer sentiment, how we're going to manage future carbon markets and climate finance initiatives, and just generally how we're going to bring the scale, efficiency, creativity, and innovation of the private sector to advancing a net zero future. So there's a ton of work to be done, as you can tell, and the private sector has to be part of the solution. I will also add that the skills that you get as an MBA absolutely prepare you to be a climate change maker in the business world or as an entrepreneur or as an investor, but they are also equally relevant if you want to work in a leadership position in, for instance, an NGO or social enterprise. So think about the ways that you could use all of those skills of finance, operations, strategy, all the skills you'll gain as an MBA, and the experiential learning opportunities you would have as an MBA student, the practical tools you'll graduate with to help you prepare for a career that is meaningful, puts your own personal passions and skills to work, and has the potential to have a meaningful impact on the climate crisis, no matter what sector you decide to work in after graduation.
Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next question, and I will read this time. What are some examples of post-MBA careers where I can work directly on climate solutions? Are any of these better or more impactful than others? Gordon?
Yes, I'm happy to talk about some of the exciting careers as we need an ever-growing number of smart people to work on all these climate solutions, as we just heard. So why do we need all those people? Well, more and more companies announce these very ambitious net zero targets. Governments are providing large financial incentives for clean tech, but they're also tightening regulations for carbon emissions and ESG disclosure. So there's just so many exciting jobs and careers for MBA students in the climate space. And one example that I'm thinking of first, because a lot of my own students end up there, is renewable energy finance. So developing and financing a solar or wind project is a pretty complicated task. And it requires specialized project finance knowledge and a thorough understanding of all relevant government incentives. And I'm thinking of one of my recent course guest speakers who was trained in finance and then worked for a large bank to provide loans and tax equity to solar developers. And he's now the head of finance for a large solar developer himself. And he's actually adding enormous amounts of solar to the US power grid. So I'd say that's a pretty tangible impact. Other people have very successful careers in investment management, where they, for example, oversee how ESG targets are integrated in the investment strategy, or they manage a sustainability fund. And of course, once you build up expertise, other doors will keep opening. So there I was thinking back of an event with an experienced investment manager who then later became a standard setter as a member of the International Sustainability Standards Board. And, well, if you set standards, you certainly have a lot of impact here. But the list of climate careers for MBAs is, of course, much longer than that. A lot of MBA graduates go work for large consulting firms who are expanding their ESG-related services, or they become climate entrepreneurs that kind of join a startup as the financial or commercial expert. Now, finally, when it comes to impact, I really think we should also talk about working for a company that's in a very carbon intensive industry, but with a serious and credible ambition to decarbonize. So take the fashion industry. I don't know if you know, but the footwear and apparel industry is responsible for somewhere between 4 and 10% of global carbon emissions. That's absolutely enormous. It's actually more than the footprint of Germany, France, and UK combined. So if you have a say in the investment strategy of a fashion company, you're also talking really big impact. So I think you get the point. You're in the right place here at the right time when it comes to the job market for climate.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the next question. I'm a career switcher. Besides MBA fundamentals, what kinds of additional skills would help me prepare for post-MBA career working on climate issues?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think what's so important about that is that there's two different sides of the additional skills. So there's soft skills and the technical skills. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of both. And I think what's so important here is that a lot of these skills you probably have transferably up to this point. And kind of understanding how you can take what you currently have and applying it into this area is super important. So on the soft skill side, it's communication, whether that's communicating at a lower level or even just at a stakeholder engagement side. Being able to effectively communicate any of these climate related issues or even solutions, let's say, to diverse stakeholders or policymakers, businesses, communities, that's essential. So having these strong interpersonal skills, public speaking abilities, these are going to be valuable assets for you. Another thing on the soft skill side is having that curiosity to learn and also being adaptable at the same time. As we see, the field of climate change is rapidly evolving. There's new research, technologies, policies emerging regularly right now. So being open to continuous learning is very important. Staying updated on the latest developments, as well as being adaptable to change will be essential, not only for short-term, but long-term success in the field. On the technical side, I think a few things that really come top of mind is being able from a data analytics perspective. So a lot of the climate related work, it often involves analyzing, let's say, large data sets, conducting modeling and simulations, including even interpreting some complex statistical analyses. So skills in data analysis tools such as like Python or R programming are going to be highly valuable in that context. Another technical skill is even project management. You can even also say that's a little bit on the soft skill side. So many of these initiatives, they involve large scale projects with multiple stakeholders, tight deadlines, complex deliverables, which are probably things that you've come across maybe on a professional or even on a personal basis. So being proficient in project management methodologies as well as tools can only help ensure successful project implementation as well as delivery. And then finally, looking at it from an economic and a financial analysis perspective. So how can you understand the economic implications of the climate change along with the financial aspects with sustainable investments is very critical. So having skills in financial analysis, knowledge of green financing mechanisms, cost benefit analysis, that's really going to be very beneficial in that case from a skill set.
Thank you so much, Joe. All right, next question. We get this one a lot. I think I want to go into a traditional business school career after graduation, consulting, banking, something along those lines. Are there ways for me to still bring my passion for addressing climate change into these roles? Charlene?
Terrific. Yeah, great question. And absolutely, there are ways to bring your passion for sustainability into mainstream or traditional business roles. And in fact, it's critical for many of you to do just that. You're going to start to hear some repetition here across questions, but we were recently speaking with a group of CSOs and key sustainability leaders here. And we asked them what changes they see in sustainability careers, and they almost uniformly said that integration is the key. Sustainability skills and knowledge are being integrated into every functional area of business. And as a result, it's also important for consulting and iBanking, et cetera. As the effects of climate change become more and more obvious and painful, the need to take action also becomes more and more obvious. And in any time of change, innovators, entrepreneurs, financiers, and specialists in all area of businesses can benefit by leading the way to sustainability. And as Katie mentioned, adaptation and mitigation with respect to climate change is a multi-trillion-dollar business opportunity. Lots of opportunity here, as well as a lot of threat. So consumers will be demanding cleaner and greener products and services. So we need marketers, innovators, and entrepreneurs to be knowledgeable about sustainability. We've seen similar increases in demand for sustainability skills in supply chain, in accounting, in operations, and of course, consulting. The EU's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive requires companies doing business in Europe to report on their environmental and social impacts throughout their supply chains. And so everybody's struggling to figure out, how do we do that? How do we do scope 3 emissions? How do we manage our reporting, track it, and improve it? We're at GreenBiz conference this year, and it's really clear how many people were really struggling with that issue. And so that has implications for supply chain, for accounting, for operations and consulting. And in addition, with respect to finance, we need to invest in sustainable transition projects, including decarbonization, biodiversity, and social and environmental justice projects. And much of the action in project finance, I believe, will be focused on climate finance and this impact investing. In addition, much of the action in venture capital will be focused on clean and cleaner tech and other sustainable transition-related goods and services. And simply understanding the ESG effects of portfolios is becoming increasingly important for many traditional finance jobs. And finally, employees are becoming more and more concerned about sustainability. And as a result, the demand on companies and all of their leaders to take positive action on climate change and other sustainability concerns is increasing. In fact, we argue that if you get an MBA today and you don't learn about sustainability, you are not prepared for the business labor market. That said, to be effective in any area requiring rapid change, you have to be able to persuade others that change is necessary. So I encourage you all to also take courses in leading change, influence, negotiation across sectors, etc. Thanks.
Awesome. Great advice. Thanks, Charlene. Next, we always get a lot of questions about resources. What external learning resources will be useful to me as I seek to build my expertise in climate? Are there conferences or industry events that MBA students find valuable to attend? Brian?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. And I dropped a link in the chat because there's a ton of resources that, as you can imagine, that are out there, and really building on the themes that others have already spoken about, right? Just developing that multidisciplinary lens and perspective. So as we think about these resources, from books to podcasts to newsletters, communities, conferences, fellowship programs, really valuing and understanding the importance of not only understanding markets and business and the traditional elements of that are taught in business school, but also going beyond and getting that ecosystem kind of point of view and becoming a really powerful systems thinker. So we really, push our MBAs to understand as they learn outside of the business school about policy, about climate justice, and importantly about climate science, if that's something that you need to get up to speed on. And so we feel like having a fantastic perspective across these areas will help you to be a climate smart MBA and a climate smart professional. So a couple of resources that we've crowdsourced from some of our MBA students that are here today, along with friends and faculty, include a couple of books that I think have been highlighted at past ClimateCAP summits that we leverage quite a bit in our syllabi. One book called Speed and Scale by John Doerr, who is a longtime venture capital investor and climate activist. And so John's book was actually provided to all attendees at ClimateCAP a couple years ago. So if you're looking for an insights around the scale of the problem, but the scale of both the opportunity and the fact that plans can and should be made, check out John's book called Speed and Scale. We also encourage our MBAs to dig into a great book by the former Unilever CEO and his lead sustainability consultant, Andrew Winston. So Paul Pullman and Andrew Winston's book, Net Positive, is a fantastic book as well. And I know Paul Pullman was a speaker at a past ClimateCAP as well. And then our crowdsourced kind of group really feels Bill Gates' book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, provides some really important perspective. So we encourage a lot of our students to read that book as well. The world of podcasts, you all know there's a lot out there. So on the site I linked to, you'll find all kinds of them. I know a lot of our students are really big fans of Climate Rising from Harvard Business School, How We Survive from Marketplace, which is part of the NPR broader network. And then a lot of our students find Degrees from the Environmental Defense Fund. That podcast, which is really featured that focused on climate careers, can be really, really powerful, giving you some insight into all of the amazing careers that exist today, but will exist tomorrow as well. And then the world of newsletters, primers, guides is a really important place to start, just to get smart and get smart really quickly. We love all the great things that MBA Edge puts out there from our friends at Duke. There's fantastic issue briefings. What every MBA needs to know about ... clean energy, climate justice, B corporations. So as you can imagine, these briefings are short, sweet, but give you the perspective you need to have great conversations and really get some further context for some of the classes you'll see in your business school career. So huge fan of MBA Edge. The Gigaton Substack newsletter is fantastic, founded by a couple of Stanford MBAs a few years ago. So that's a fantastic area for you to read about and get your weekly Substack updates on climate careers. New York Times Climate Forward is another area. Obviously, not only what you get in the typical New York Times digital or press issues, but special blogs and insights and opinions by thought leaders. And then, I think so many of our students learn outside via additional programming. So obviously the ClimateCAP MBA fellowship that Jessica mentioned is a fantastic opportunity. But also GreenBiz has a wonderful emerging leaders program. And so they are one of the largest conveners of various conferences for professionals, but they've been very intentional in leaning in and developing our next generation of leaders. So check out GreenBiz Emerging Leaders as well. And then a fantastic set of climate conferences that MBAs can be part of. Of course, ClimateCAP and the MBA Summit. Do join that next year out in the Bay Area, of course. GreenBiz, as I mentioned, has various conferences throughout the years that many of our MBA students have come back and feel are really important. And then your NYC's Climate Week, which is really powerful. In addition to going to New York, there also are plans in various markets and cities across the US in that week in September. So you don't necessarily have to go to New York, but can plug into some of the local activities and resources in your city. And then lots of really exciting, I think, business school hosted summits and case competitions at a lot of our partner schools here at ClimateCAP. I know our students, partake in UNC's Clean Tech Summit. There's a fantastic case competition around clean tech innovation that Rice hosts down in the Houston area. MIT has a great energy conference every year, and our friends at Colorado Boulder host a long time running net impact case competition. So that's another way to flex and challenge yourself and really, find opportunities to learn, to network, find careers, etc. And lots of career information out there, various job boards that are available. Project Drawdown offers a lot of fantastic resources. The 80,000 Hours Project. And then the growing B Corp community obviously has been at the forefront of climate and climate justice. They offer a job board where the 8,000 or 9,000 B Corps in the world post jobs as well. So those are just some of the many resources, and I know more folks are adding those to the chat in terms of the various communities out there that are fantastic to be part of, like Women in Climate, Climate Base, Work on Climate. So that's the nice thing. You're going to have a lot of choices out there outside of your business school experience to learn and build communities and connections as you go throughout your time in business school, but also beyond.
Great. Thank you so much. We just reposted that link in the chat again as well. All right, moving on. What ways can I build my climate expertise outside of the classroom? Elise?
Thanks everyone for having us. So I get to answer this question about building your climate expertise outside the classroom. And so I guess my number one piece of advice is to tap into your climate ecosystem. And so what does that mean? It means a lot of different things. And so a few ideas that my team came up with is, first and foremost, join the relevant student clubs. And don't just join them, volunteer for them, offer to run events, develop programming. That's a really great way to build your network and your expertise. And also plugging the ClimateCAP Fellowship. I know it's not a club, a student club, but that's another great opportunity to build your expertise outside the classroom. Another piece of advice, dive into faculty research, read the working papers, read the cases, read the recent articles, take the classes by those faculty that are doing research that's interesting to you, and maybe even reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to chat with you about the research that you're interested in. Another piece of advice, take advantage of internships. So if you can find some second-year students to get some ideas from them about the approach to internships or how to recruit, or maybe some interesting paths that they've taken for internships, and think creatively about how to use your internships. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do them during the semester, but some students do them both in the summer and during the semester. And it's a really great way and a time to experiment and explore an opportunity that you might not otherwise explore. So really leverage those internships to kind of get a better sense on where you want to go in terms of your career. Attend all the climate events that you can. Oftentimes, our group will sponsor students to go to events. So, tap into some of your university resources to see if they can sponsor you to go, or you could offer to volunteer at events. And oftentimes that will cover your attendance, ClimateCAP, COP28, if you can, Climate Week, Brian mentioned a bunch right before my question. So no, there's tons of events. Try to get into as many as you can. And also look for cross-university opportunities. A lot of the clubs and events are open to all students. And so it's always worth just seeing what's going on in the different networks across your university. Tap into your alumni network. So a lot of schools offer a mentorship program, like HBS offers a mentorship program. It's a great way to connect with alumni, and oftentimes alumni are really excited to hear from students and offer their support. Also just use LinkedIn. A lot of our students are very successful at just kind of cold reaching out to alumni who are doing interesting work on LinkedIn. And so that's just a great way to kind of, again, build that expertise, build that knowledge, get familiar with what's interesting to you as you go into this space that's as we've said, evolving and changing, and you can kind of make it what you want. And finally, just explore all the other learning opportunities. Again, Brian just put together that great resource list. Climate Rising, thank you for the shout out. Harvard Business School Online has a bunch of online courses that you can take. A brand new course called Business and Climate Change. There's a sustainable investing course. So there's lots of like structured ways to also develop your climate expertise outside the classroom, but it's really just about, tapping into your ecosystem, whether it's kind of the local groups around you or like the ClimateCAP ecosystem, and just making those connections and building your network.
Great. Thank you so much. We've got 2 more questions for answering right now. So next we're going to move over to, are there ways for me to act as a climate champion while I'm an MBA student? Go ahead, Foster.
Yeah, so thanks for having us here. I think the other speakers have shared a lot of great tips, so I'm just going to build on some of that, and especially Elise's just recent response, which is just building on the fact that the MBA, one of the greatest parts about it is it's a really customizable degree and can really be tailored. And so part of what I recommend is really holding fast to your passions and to your interests as you come into the program. You're going to be faced with a million different things that you can do when you're there. And some of it is exploration, of course, but we have students who've found it helpful to even just write down some of the things that they're really passionate about doing when they're in school. If you're passionate about climate, really keep that in mind as you go through. And part of this is signaling to the school and to potential employers that this is important to you. And part of it is just advocating for opportunities for yourself and for future students at your school. So some of the things we recommend, ask your career centers about opportunities to engage with the industry or with companies through networking projects or internship opportunities. This has been mentioned before, but I can't stress enough, not just joining clubs, but taking a leadership role in a climate related club or something similar. And if you don't have a club like that, start one. Being a leader in a club is such an awesome networking opportunity. It's something you can put on your resume. And again, it's one of those signals you can share with potential employers. And as a club leader, you're usually the one doing the outreach. So that's a great opportunity. Working with student clubs to bring alumni back too, again, a networking opportunity and sending that signal to alumni who could be in organizations that you might be interested in. We also recommend really pushing faculty to include climate considerations in their cases. There's some good resources from Harvard Business Publishing for finding climate-related cases and asking those questions in the classroom too. It doesn't have to be a specific class focused on sustainability for you to bring up questions like that. Also questions during company information sessions. So you might be at an info session for an industry company that doesn't really address this, but you're interested in learning whether they are or if they have opportunities there or if they're thinking about it. And then just a couple more, seek out sustainability related case competitions or business plan competitions. Those are great ways to connect with students at other schools who are passionate too, and finding opportunities outside of your institution to have that focus, and again, something else to put on your resume. And then I think Elise said this too, but really exploring campus-wide sustainability initiatives. It's very easy to get wrapped up in the business school. There's like I said, a million things going on, but most of our schools are pretty big and have a lot of cool stuff. And some of them are interdisciplinary and some aren't, always obvious to you as an MBA student. So exploring those other opportunities can be another great way to send that signal and really advocate for your school.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Erin. So much good advice there. So our last question is going to be, I'm interested in clean energy and climate tech, and I know that most of these employers are not likely to recruit on campus. What are some of the best strategies for networking with these employers? Catherine?
Great. Well, I'll start out by saying this is a tricky career path to navigate, and my key advice is to be proactive. I was an MBA student over 15 years ago. I wanted a job in sustainability. Recruiters did not come to campus. a lot of these jobs weren't even posted. So I had to do a lot of, one-on-one coffee dates in person, and eventually convince a Fortune 100 company to create an internship and then a job for me. So you really have to be proactive in this space. And the advice that I give also is, when you're a student, you have a powerful card to play and you should use it. People want to talk to you, they want to help you, and you can always just reach out and say, hey, I'd like to learn about your career path, and can you tell me about your company? People are eager to talk to students, but the minute you graduate and you're looking for a job, or you're a professional, that becomes less so. So play your card when you have it. And you can use this card in many ways. And a lot of what I was going to say has already been covered, so I'll be very brief. But one idea is to organize treks to local companies, and this is especially effective if you're part of a student club. Reach out to local companies and see if a group of you can go and visit and meet in person. Another idea is this has already been said, but go to the conferences. And the big one that comes to mind that I went to last year is the Green Biz Verge Climate Tech Conference in San Jose. There are not many students there. It's more a professional level conference. However, you can volunteer as a student at these conferences, and then you will have thousands of professionals to network with. Obviously, ClimateCAP is great as well, but then there are a lot more students there that who also are trying to network. So Green Biz Verge is a great one to think about. Also, lots of local meetups. Here in Boulder, we have a lot of them. I'm sure all of the business schools have professional groups around that offer these networking opportunities. Go play your card, talk to them, and always think about what is it that makes you unique? Because there are a lot of students trying to talk to these companies, and think about, is there a unique experience that you have, or a skill? And if there's not something that you think really makes you stand out in this space, then think about, how are you going to leverage your MBA experience to get that? Whether it's through some sort of skills-based workshop, or through some sort of experiential learning opportunity, or maybe a consulting project that's integrated into a class that gives you some real hands-on experience. Think about, what is it that makes you special and unique, so that when you have these conversations with professionals, you're going to stand out. And then again, this has already been said, but really play your card to get those informational interviews. Reach out on LinkedIn, and you'll be surprised how many people actually will respond to you if you frame this as, you're a student, you want to learn, and you're wondering if they could carve out 30 minutes. Be clear that you're not asking for much of their time, just 30 minutes to connect and share a little bit about yourself and explore career opportunities. So with that, good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, so much good information in there. We will be sharing a recording of this after the fact, because I think once you all get into your programs, you're probably going to want to listen to this again, just to jot down a lot more notes on some of the incredible advice that's been given. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of our school representatives for sharing your expertise on this topic. I think we can all agree that there's just incredible opportunities for students to integrate climate into their MBA experience, no matter where that takes you, and ultimately integrate that into your career in this new economy. And as we are kind of transitioning away from this portion of the event today, I hope you're excited, energized, and kind of ready to use your career to contribute to these climate solutions. As MBAs, and even if you decide not to get your MBA, you still, as a climate-minded person, will have an incredible opportunity to strategically and kind of thoughtfully lead your organizations through this incredible business issue. And so, please take all of this to heart and figure out where you can incorporate it into your roles today. And I'm also sure that a lot of the questions that we have discussed today have inspired a whole lot of more questions for each of you. So in just a moment, we're going to transition to the breakout portion of our session. But before we go, as a reminder, there's a lot of different ways to get involved with ClimateCAP. Please make sure you're signed up for our newsletter. You can sign up on our website, climatecap.org, to stay up to date with climate MBA news, events, and more, as well as our LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube channel, where we post recordings of events like this one.